Welcome to the Fantasy Aceball podcast. This is your host, Tim Kanak. You can find me on X at Fantasy Aceball. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can find that at the Tim Kanak. Then you see that my old buddy, Mr. Chris Welsh, is here in the house with me. What up, Welsh? How you doing?
What's up? What's up? Glad to be here. Glad to talk some prospects with you, brother man. And good to be on the YouTube.
Are you sure that you're not in Miami with me?
Because of the
your
purple lights.
Your background is total like Miami Club vibes.
This is definitely, and I've got all the different looks too. I didn't even realize that. Also, like with my in this league sign in there, this definitely has. I've never been to Miami, but I assume this is like hardcore Miami Beach like vibes going on. It's very Vice City.
Yeah, Vice City, Art Deco. You've got the whole Miami vibe going. I thought it was just for me. Guess not. but anyway, we're here to talk about some prospects. We're going to talk about my prospect ranking specifically. So if you disagree with any of them, don't blame Welsh, blame me. or Welsh will at least be able to. Yeah, you can blame Welsh too. Yeah, at least he'll be able to provide some input on where he may or may also have guys in the same range or out of the same range or whatever. But we have already discussed prospects 150 through 76. And now this is the first of the three Chris's. I have the three wise Chris's coming on back to back. Chris Welsh, Chris Blessing, Chris Clegg.
Got a gauntlet of Chris's. All right.
Oh yeah, it's a Chris. I was trying to combine catastrophe with Chris. I don't think that works. Chris kind of works. Catastrophe, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Let's get into it. Number 75 is starting pitcher Alejandro Rosario. So Rosario has not played this year. He was so good last year, Welsh. And I actually someone asked me, they're like, when is he coming back? Like, when did he have TJ? So I asked on Twitter yesterday, Evan Grant, I was like, did Rosario have his TJ yet? And apparently he did not even have the surgery yet. He's like still waiting for guidance. So they just wasted since February. They said his UCL has been bad. So they have wasted now like 4 months of possible recovery time from Rosario, which kind of sucks. That probably pushes him until like 2027 when he's back. And like, I don't know, like when is he going to have it? Like nobody really knows. It's kind of weird waiting on the TJ thing.
To imagine that they're going to try to like just go through like a repair process and not go through. I've never heard of a team of a guy having TJ or going to have TJ and waiting 4 months, unless they would wait a little bit because of some type of swelling. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's very, very weird, very odd. But what do you do with a guy like this? Like Rosario was so good last year, 33.1 K minus walk, almost a 17% swing strike rate, 35% CSW, just crazy, crazy stuff. Like he's not going to be here. So what do you do with a guy like this? Do you just like rank him as if he's like an A-ball guy? Like I'm just going to pretend that he's like a complex league or A-ball pitcher that's dominating. Like that's because when I looked at this, I was like, okay, if I have Ryan Sloan at like 98 or 99 or whatever I had him at, and I think Rosario, maybe by the time he's back, maybe they're at the same level. If I think Rosario is maybe a little bit better, then I kind of have to push him a little bit ahead of Sloan, don't you think? Or do you think just like bad health? So I just get out. Like I don't want to do anything to do with this.
So yeah, like I have like a pseudo process for this. If it's an elite player, we're talking like on the high end elite of like Andrew Painters and stuff like that. Like that guy, let's say they were a teens healthy pitcher. They go have Tommy John. I'll probably bump them outside the top 50. You know, they're still just like when they're back, it's elite beyond belief. There's no questions or whatever. Not to say that Alejandro is not like elite. He walked, what was like 13 and struck out, or 17 or whatever it was, struck out like 129. Like he's ridiculous. Fastball splitter combination. But I think in the like grand scope of thinking about prospects and fantasy and values and injury returns and stuff like that, I just have him outside of my top 100. He's in that range. I think there are, like you said, Ryan Sloan, Jonah Tong is like a really interesting guy. There's just a lot of interesting prospects in there that, yes, I think what you said of like treating him like an A-ball guy, you could do that, but we also just don't know. Like, why are they waiting here? How much longer is it going to take? What's the process? Look at major league returns on some stuff. I mean, Spencer Strider, it's not going well with velo upticks. We know upticks in general on the velo have just been major causes of injury. Is there another one? We've seen plenty of guys that have gone through back-to-back injuries. So I think there's too many questions to be like, he is a no doubt got to be still inside the top 100. You have him inside the top 75. I have him outside the top 100. I think the talent is there, but there's just too many interesting guys that have jumped up in value. We're going to be talking one with like a Gage Jump, no pun intended, who's been in there. But then there's just handfuls of guys that have had these sneaky good seasons that it's like, can you justify and warrant Alejandro Rosario, who's going to miss now maybe another year or more, over guys that can, push with future production? I'm just not so sure about that, because Rosario also had, if I remember correctly, some injury stuff when he was drafted as well, coming out of Miami. So I have him just outside the top 100.
Yeah, he had command issues too. I don't know. I just like his stuff so much. I think it's just watching too much video of him, and I just like fall in love with his stuff. And it's like, ooh, I can't, I don't know.
Fastball, slider, splitter. Give me that all day.
Yeah, exactly. Especially that fastball. That fastball has arm side run, which is different. Most people are throwing fastballs with ride, not with run right now.
But so what's it going to look like when he comes back? That's like, I think there's the ifs and buts that kind of exist specifically with him. I think that's what makes it tough about being like, oh yeah, he's just a no doubt top 100 guy. Like when he's healthy and the talent's there, but we have like a year to a year and a half to wait to figure out what is he when he comes back. So now his timeline is, his timeline might be 2027. It might be the end of 26. It could be halfway through 27. We just really don't know what the timeline is. So I just don't particularly like that type of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, I cannot hate on pushing an injured guy back out of the top 100 just because he's hurt. So wherever someone ranks Rosario because of this injury, I have no problem with it. It's just like, okay, yeah, he's hurt. I get it. I just really like him still, and hopefully he bounces back healthy. Number 74 is shortstop Cole Young, who was just promoted to the Mariners. And sorry if you hear background noise. Like, if you ever are an old Sleeper in the Bus fan, I've got Kyle Gibson at my house right now, just like a blower right outside my window. It's like it used to happen to Spore all the time. But Cole Young got the promotion. I'm going to actually pull up his stats real quick on the screen here as we pull him up. But I've got him at 74, Welsh. Really good hit tool. And the tools this year, he's been hitting a bunch of doubles. Like, he's come into some power. He's a guy that I've talked about quite a bit as like, hey, this could be an interesting profile. He's always been young for the level. And I kind of have seen him as like a light version of Jackson Holiday, where he has like similar tools to Jackson Holiday, but not like that unique, like peak version of those tools, just like a lighter, kind of dumbed down version of Jackson Holiday, I guess. But I think he's going to transition pretty nice into the majors. I know like he hasn't had the best start. He's hitting like 188, but it's 9 games in. And most of these guys, when they first make the jump, have some struggles. But I think he'll transition pretty easily in because he does have a good hit tool. What do you think, Welsh?
So a couple of interesting things. We will probably not have this. I haven't compared. This will probably be the only one here. We are in complete rank agreement. I also have him at 74. So that's weird. Ooh. We both have him exactly at 74, regardless of the call up. So that's our agreement. I don't think I'm with the Jack. I get where you're going with it. I just don't think I'm with the Jackson Holiday comps. Like, because also specifically, one thing Holiday did on a consistent basis was he did just hit the ball hard. Cole Young put up some interesting ones: 109 max EV, 89 average exit velocity. He did in AAA, 44 hard hit rate. But like, Holiday is a bigger max EV guy, a bigger average EV guy. Maybe, with some of the swing and miss on the secondary stuff that, was kind of a question because he had higher K rates compared to Cole Young only having an 11% AAA K rate. So, but like, I think you could maybe surface level statistically look and be like, oh, maybe Holiday is like a teens homer and 20, 30 stolen bases. Like, that's what Cole Young is. But I think at the end of the day, Holiday is going to be, a mid to higher 20s homer guy and like a lower stolen base, where I think Cole Young is going to lean into this. Like, I don't buy his 30% major league strikeout rate right now because it's never been like over 18% in the minors. So I think he's just going to make a bunch of contact. If anything, I think he could go the way of like, a light Jacob Wilson type who just steals more bases or something like that. But I think he's like a 10 homer to him. Maybe you start to look at like the Bryce Terangs of the world. He ends up Nico Horners. He ends up looking like a guy like that. 20, 30 stolen bases, 8 to 15 homers somewhere in there. I think he's better than what we're currently getting on the major league output. But, you know, at least from a rank perspective, you and I are lockstep at 74.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, well, she had 23 extra base hits in AAA in 54 games before he came up, which is like a record for him, right? Like he already had 5 triples and 13 doubles. The most extra base hits he had before that. 2023 did all right, 34 doubles in 2023. Like, I agree. I don't think he's going to be a home run guy, especially in Seattle. But if we get doubles out of him, I think that's pretty solid. And you could see if you're watching on YouTube, I pulled up John Anderson's pages, and he actually I had him add sweet spot percentage for me and zone swing and zone contact. But you can see like 90+% zone contact at AAA. The contact rates in the majors right now are tracking pretty closely to these. It's just very weird because even in the majors, 8.7% swinging strike rate, but a 30% K rate. So I agree. That K rate is like not going to happen. That's not real. No. But we do need to see him hit the ball harder because he was hitting the ball much harder, like 5 miles an hour harder between his little small sample size in the majors to the minors as far as average and max EVs both. So hopefully he can get into some of that power. 73 on the rankings is outfielder Robert Kalaz. We're really high on Kalaz last year in Complex, but he's kind of gotten off to a slow start here at A-ball. Where are you right now on Kalaz, Welsh?
Yeah, he actually it had started off not too bad, not too shabby. And then it just kind of has tapered back. I guess that was always the worry with him. I mean, I saw him in person a ton, hits the ball really hard, could get it to both fields. Like that was something I felt was like a really optimistic outlook long-term for a guy like Kalaz. And unfortunately, the transition from a player from like rookie ball to A is critical. I mean, I guess every single one is critical, but to me, it's always been like rookie to A, and then from high A to double A is one of the biggest transitions. But, you know, his strikeout rate kind of continued to get worse. I've still got him in the top 75. I have him a tad bit higher than you, but it's one of those where it's like only so much longer can I probably keep him there because I'm waiting for him to kind of have that bounce back. Because like I said before, I think if we had all of that really good data where you could see, you know, average exit velocity, max EVs, hard hit, like I think he shines there, but he's making really poor contact at 67%. And unfortunately, that does track with what he even did in Complex. He just was a lot more impactful. Strikeout rates got really bad. 29% right now. That's going to live. I think he's a month away, though, from being knocked out of a top 100 if he continues this. And you got to figure out like whether you're ranking or you're evaluating or whatever you're doing with prospects, like how long is that window where you're just like, oh, this is a major problem. I think we see a lot of major leaguers where like 2 months they can struggle, then third month they pick up. If you go 3 months and you're going to continue with those, then there's a deeper problem. I will say Kalaz had an injury at the beginning of extended spring training that kept him out here. Wonder if there's maybe some lingering effects or some of that missed time, but yeah, I've got him in this general vicinity. It's actually more that I look at it as probably like a little too high based on the production. And I think if you go June and it's just a lot more of this, then you're going to have some reevaluation, at least to, you know, not give him the benefit. I give prospects the benefit of the doubt a lot more, I think, than others based off of talent or what they've done in the past. He's not going to really deserve that in the very near future.
Yeah, I kind of like to see it like I'll look at how I treated other prospects or when other prospects started turning around. Because like right now at this time, like at the beginning of June, is kind of where Sebastian Walcott and Leodalis DeVries started turning their seasons around last year. So I agree with you that like he cannot keep up this poor performance. Now is the time for him to make that Leo DeVries turn, those adjustments, or that Walcott adjustment so that he can kind of carry forward what he was doing in his momentum. Because right now, if you have him in a league, you're like, oh man, his value is going down. Like this is like a bad value now that you're getting. His value is down from where it was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So if you're holding him, you're just kind of hoping he turns it around. And you're like at this weird little stage where it's like, should I sell now while I still have some value, or should I just ride it out? Probably going to ride it out a guy this young. I would in most leagues anyway, but yeah, I agree. There's like some big time power here. And on that note, Welsh, is Arizona, are you guys going to get StatCast data like sometime soon out there for
Complex?
Yeah, for complex A-ball, anything like that, or are we just going to be relying?
Well, we're just rookie ball out here. There's no A-ball out here. It's all rookie, just rookie complex. That's a great question. Some of the parks, a lot of the places have it. The facilities have it. I've heard the teams bring out like equipment on backfields and stuff. The only public facility that I remember if I remember correctly, is Salt River Fields that does it. But here's what you got to remember. Most of these guys don't play in the stadiums. They play on the backfield. So that's why you're just not going to get data. You're not going to get any public data outside of what some of the teams are rocking. And most of those, they don't bring out anything unless it's workout sessions. Now, if they go into the stadium, you might be able to hold some. There's other stuff like the Guardians, I think, have been broadcasting some of their games, like maybe on Saturdays or whatever, like it's slowly ticking up. So to answer your question, no, we're in rookie ball. We're just not, because they don't all play in stadiums. Most days, none of them do. And it's just hanging on the backfields, rocking there. And they're just, I will be shocked if we ever have uniformity of StatCast data for complex games. Now, for the AFL and spring training, that could change. That could change in the very near future as they're adding Hawkeye and they're going to have the ABS system and stuff like that. You've just got to put more of this info in and more of this tech in, that they should all just have StatCast data available. And I think that should be within the next 2 years, maybe even a players, something with the Players Association and the new labor bargaining agreement, or the maybe MLB 2027, all spring training facilities. I would like to have it, but unfortunately it's just not going to matter for complex, because they're on those backfields. Those backfields, and anytime I show a video, there's always someone that doesn't understand any of this stuff. And they're like, well, what is this? Is this like a minor league? What are they playing in, like a Pee-wee league? And it's like, yeah, dude, these are just like standard like fields that look like you could go and, drive 2 miles and you could go and find and hit on. That's what a lot of these look like.
Yeah. So a really quick follow-up question here. Tyson Lewis, infamously or famously hit a ball 119.4 miles per hour in complex league. Who recorded that reading? Was that a third party, or was that the team itself? Because that makes me wonder, how accurate that reading might be.
Okay, so here's like another like side piece of it. I don't know if that got adjusted. I think that might have got adjusted to 114, by the way. I saw the 119, but then it kind of disappeared. So this takes me back to, they've got the data in the dugouts. They do have, and by the way, that game was in a stadium. So that's where it could have been different. That was at the Guardian. They were playing in stadium. And I think that's why they were able to track it. They had the billboard going up. They had velos up. So I think that's why they had that information. But if you remember me telling this story, Caglione in the AFL hit a ball. It's the most absurd ball I've ever seen hit in person. It was a Camelback Ranch. I got video of it. No one moved. It was crazy, but it was registered. We found out at 420 feet or something like that. And I think maybe they did have some StatCast data in there, but he said they have their own stuff that's not attached to like the stadium ones, and in the dugout on their iPads. And he was like, it was over 500 feet. He's like, the registered stuff on their iPad and what they had was over 500 feet. So it comes back to that whole like true media accessibility. Teams have all their own equipment data, Stuff Plus systems, all of that don't become public. And then there's like the stadium wide public stuff that goes on, the MLB scoreboards and whatever. So I have to assume that was either A, from their dugout, or B, that was just because they were playing in stadium and they had the accessibility of some of that stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. So the next guy we're going to talk about is a guy that you and I, and I'm sorry, Welsh, I had to give up a little bit on him. It's Spencer Jones.
I mean, you and me both. Yeah.
Number 72. I dropped him down 50 spots in my rankings. I just couldn't deal anymore with he switched to the torpedo bat. Awesome. More bombs. Cool. Right. But 57.5% contact rate. That's just like an unlivable territory. Even if he's at like 65% with his power and speed, that'll play probably. But in the 50s, that's just not a major league player. So he really needs to work on that hit tool. Otherwise, he's just basically tooled out Joey Gallo type with zero hit tool. He'll come to the majors, strike out 40% of the time, hit 25 bombs because he is making some contact at least, and hit 200. So hopefully that's not Spencer Jones's future. But where are you on Jones right now?
I'm the same. I think I'm like just slightly higher, but my move was also 50, about 50-ish points, 50 in the realm coming down because, yeah, I mean, you know what? He probably deserves to not even be on the top 100 if we're being honest with you. The thing I can't ever get over is I think he's just a wildly crazy, like unicorn type of athlete, 6'7", 230, 40 plus. He's got huge raw power, but zone contacts get worse, strikeouts get worse. He has this weird split. He's hitting better against lefties this year than he is righties. That's something that just kind of jumps out to me, though, where I'm like, I don't know, is that trackable? But also, like, adding in the torpedo bat. I was so excited when he talked about that in the preseason, where he's like, hey, listen, we did swing analysis. Thank you. That's exactly what I want with him. And they said a torpedo bat, and based on where, the money is on where he's hitting balls, the torpedo bat's really going to benefit. Guess what? It didn't, and it's not. He's still hitting under 220. So I think you got to, move beyond just like that type of swing analysis and start talking about approach analysis changes. I probably will fall back in if I heard he was, hanging out with the Judge's hitting coach who has worked with guys, even though Kyron Paris has kind of fallen apart. There probably needs to be some more dramatic swing changes. And something we saw, like what Kyron Paris and Corbin Carroll both did, was they brought, they brought their body, I think it's more close into the plate, and that allowed a little bit more cheating and to get to up high stuff. Like, I guess I'm saying all this stuff to be like, I still think there's a path that you can fix some of Spencer Jones, because if you can make him a 250 hitter, he's a wildly crazy good athlete, but he's a 24-year-old in AA with strikeout problems, bad average, and things are getting worse. That's the recipe for someone you shouldn't bank on. I don't think he has any good trade value. So I actually think he's a better guy to just hold on to right now and see if it pans out. Because at this point, like, sorry, that's one I'm going to have to chalk up. Him and George Valera are ones I'll chalk up for those crazy tools. But like, what are you trading him for? What are you getting? You're not getting a top 100 piece for Spencer Jones at this point. Maybe you do some even swap of like a Brock Wilken or whatever, but you probably still not even get that. So I think you're better set holding on to Spencer Jones to see if some things click, because it's not the linear path. There's still a lot of work to go. And I don't know, man, we might see him in the AFL. He was supposed to be in the AFL like the last 2 years. He hasn't gone there, but now you're getting to a point where you're aging yourself out. 24-year-old in AA is not great with these type of problems. So something's got to change. Something's got to be fixed. And I wonder, if that's going to be at the Arizona Fall League this year. But I'm with you. He has moved down, and he's trending in the very, very wrong direction.
Yeah, I mean, when he came back from the injury, he had a few pretty good games in a row. So maybe you say, oh, did he change something? Did he fix something? You got like a 2 for 3, a few hit games, 1 for 3, 1 for 4, 1 for 4 with a bomb. So it's like maybe he fixed something. But I don't know. Like, hopefully he gets this hit tool at least to the 60s.
He's hitting 136 in June. He hit 267 in May. We need to find consistency. Even if the consistency isn't elite, he just needs to find some consistency at all. That's it.
Yes. Yes, I agree. 71. This is like one of my biggest movers upward, right next to one of my biggest movers downward. It is outfielder Mike Sirota with the Dodgers. So Sirota just putting up ridiculous numbers right now. Obviously, like Aceball was like not the level for him. Dodgers acquired him after missing him in the draft. Apparently they loved him. They didn't get him in the draft, traded Gavin Lux for him. And all of a sudden Dodgers magic rubs off and he's an elite prospect. So what do you have on Mike Sirota right now? Because to me, it's like, okay, advanced plate approach, check. Big time athleticism, power, speed, good hit tool, quick hands, explosive gap power. Like, he's got basically everything you want to prospect. The reason I don't have him higher is just because he like came out of nowhere. It's like I just wasn't I was not comfortable bumping him all the way up to top 25 or 35 or whatever, just based off of like a couple awesome months. But he's showing everything that you want to see right now, Mike Sirota.
Yeah, samesies. I saw him when he was still a Red. It was in Bridge League last year. It was Tyson, him, like Peyton Stovall, like the whole little crew was there. And, nothing really like Sirota didn't really like stand out. I thought Tyson Lewis looked better than him. And I just gush about Tyson Lewis now. It's just gotten bigger and looks amazing. And, I guess it's kind of dismissive-ish, I suppose, of Sirota. But, in in college, he was good. I think one of the biggest things that stands out to me for this year in overall evaluation is that he has repeated at levels. Like what he did in A-ball, because I'm in complete agreement with you. It's great that he does it in A-ball, but mind you, he's a 22-year-old. So like what you saw him do in A-ball, you're like, great, 354, he's hitting homers, and the strikeout rate's not anything crazy. Let's get a challenge. All right, we go to high A. I mean, it literally is a rinse and repeat. He's walking 14% of the time, 21% K percentage. He's hitting better, over 300. You're still seeing some of that, or I guess 342 is the total, 319. So it's a little bit worse than he was in A-ball, but like you're seeing the power kind of show out still. I think he's like on that cusp of the top 100 range. I think it'd probably be beneficial, like any more of the like underlying data you could see of like how, average EVs and stuff like that. I would love to just get my hands on, but I think from an overall perspective, he's got a 346 slash, which is ridiculous. 1,000 OPS, ridiculous power speed combo. And guess what? The Dodgers do this. They did this with Zaire Hope. They fleeced the Cubs. They got Zaire Hope in. Whatever it is, if they optimize him, working in certain ways, focus on this, and they unlocked all the tools that apparently the Cubs didn't see. You're seeing the same thing with Sirota. So I think he's on that cusp of, he's like a top 100 guy. If you believe in stock market chasing and prospects and arrows, I think his arrow is more justifiable to like where you have it. I think if you're a little bit cautiously optimistic in the whole world of prospects, you treat him more as like a top 100 guy, because his arrow is bigger than handfuls of really talented prospects. But, if the new version of Colson Montgomery is clicking, like I'll take Colson, I'll take a right Colson Montgomery over a Sirota, or you can make the arguments of like Tamar Johnson, or, the handfuls of guys you can kind of keep going with it. So I think he's in like the top 100 range, but definitely all signs are clicking, and it's very impressive.
Yeah. The one thing to watch out for with him is that like his hit profile is maybe a little bit leaning toward like an Emmanuel Rodriguez type deal once he gets to the higher levels, AA and AAA, because he's running like a 73% contact rate, but then he doesn't swing a lot, like 35 to 38% swing rate. So he has a subpar contact rate tied with a guy who's not overly aggressive swinging. So we might see that average dip down a bit, and he'll probably maintain like the walk rate. Like he'll probably still be walking a decent amount because he seems to have a pretty good eye. But there may be a little bit of like Emmanuel Rodriguez type hit tool things coming for him once he gets to the advanced levels and is facing better pitchers. So just something to watch out for, I think, with Sirota as he's making the rise up the levels here. Number 70. This is a guy I really like, and I've talked about him a bunch this year. It's outfielder Carson Bench with the Mets. My comp for him, I think you might like this one, is a Evan Carter and Colton Cowser mashup for Carson Bench. And if you just look at the splits, like that kind of tells the story. Excellent against righties. Lefties, all he does is walk. That's it. All he can do is walk against lefties. But super athletic player, great hit tool. 81.5% contact rate, really good plate skills, and he's doing everything you want to see. It's just like not against lefties. So my fear for Benj, and the reason I don't like him even more, because everything is plus tools across the board. Yeah, I would like him more if he was doing it against lefties. So that is like the one concern for me.
Yeah, I think that's a good breakdown too, because when you see like heavy split players already in the minor leagues, like that's already something that's going to get exposed. It's another one of those guys like Sirota. I like, that he's at high A. I would like to see him get challenged a little bit more. I think whenever I see 22-year-old prospects that we get super excited about, like give me that in AA. Like let me get excited about that in AA. Ryan Waldschmidt would be a good example. Like he was killing it early on and then he struggled down. Like if we would have just got excited about the first month of Ryan Waldschmidt, it might have not quite told us a story. And then compare it against like, let's say like a Slade Caldwell, who just got pushed up to high A and has been dominating. I do pay attention to age to level stuff. So, last year at A-ball, he was okay. This year, it's definitely been a big boost. I mean, you're seeing a little bit more power. The stolen bases are there. He's cutting his strikeout rate down. He's doing a little bit of everything. But as you mentioned, he's got this lefty issue. He's not really pulling the ball a whole bunch, and he's age to level just doesn't work. But he's got high contact. He had an 81% contact rate, 82 last year. Really good high contact rates. We're just going to have to see, like, is there enough big power that's going to be in his game, and is he going to be pushed to being some type of a platoon player? So this is one of those guys. I think they're like fringy, like right at the top 100 range. There's a lot to be excited about. I think there's some cautiousness of like where he's got to progress, but I think he belongs. I agree that you've got these two together. I just have them a little bit lower.
All right, number 69, shortstop George Lombard Jr. with the Yankees. Talk about age to level. He is a 20-year-old in Double-A right now, holding his own, Welsh. And I think we actually talked about him last time that we were podcasting together, because I saw him this spring live. And I did confirm that he did get a little beefier, but it hasn't really related to any power uptick this season, because he still only has 1 home run, despite having better size. But like, for me, because I see Andrew Salas all the time. I've seen Andrew Salas like 6 times already this year. So I get to see Andrew Salas all the time. It just reminds me, like, I'm just like, Lombard is basically like Andrew Salas in a couple of years. It's just like, that's exactly like the same type of player, like really high plate skill guy. And it's like Cole Young-ish, just super pushed, super young for the level, hit tool first type with some speed. So, I don't know. He has a bigger frame. It's just like, will the power come, right? Because like, hopefully he doesn't get stuck as a Cole Young. Hopefully the power does develop to be more toward 20 home run power as a bigger dude. It's just like, and he just turned 20. Like, he was 19. 8 days ago, he turned 20.
Yeah.
So he was 19 years old in Double-A. So, I mean, like, he's super young for the level, and 17.6% walk rate in Double-A for a 19-year-old is just really, really good stuff. 8 steals. So he's just doing everything you want to see except for like lack of power, right? But like a 92 WRC plus in Double-A as a guy who was just 19, like if you give him an age to level bump, you're thinking like that might be like a high 100, like 175 WRC plus, like in relation to age to level. So what do you think about Lombard?
Yeah, I love Lombard. I got him inside of my top 50. The power, the struggles at Double-A with the lack of power, I think, is the biggest concern. And then you remind yourself, like you said, he's like one of the youngest guys, especially from age to level at this range. There's organizational stuff. You've heard Jazz talk about the superstar that we think he is. He got so much bigger. I think his swing definitely is generated to more power in the future. That's why I'm surprised at some of it. And also, you look like he's pulling the ball as well, like 46% pull, or 42% pull rate at Double-A, which is still, okay, but this is off of a 50% pull rate. I think he's being challenged. He's being challenged to a level that maybe he wasn't quite ready for. So I think if you put him back at high A, I think he's back to dominating again. And that's not like a negative thing. Like, dude was hitting 329 at high A, stealing bases. He was walking more than he was striking out. He's still close to the walk to strikeout ratio. He's doing everything well, except, consistently hitting now, but also showing off, like, how are you going to have big homers? But there are some solid EV numbers in there. I think this is one of those that it's like, power is the last tool to develop. I think he's being pushed really aggressive. I think skill set wise, he's through the roof. And I think next year, we might kind of like be re-talking about like Lombard as a top 25 prospect. I just think he's going through it right now. Really heavy, aggressive assignment that is either going to carry with him. He'll figure out. And then at the end of the year, it's going to be like, oh, Lombard had an okay season. He hit 268 or 270 in the minor leagues. And we're like, da-da-da. But if he bounces back from a 200 average up to like a 260, 270 at Double-A, and he figured it out, I think that tells you more than anything else. So there's a little bit of like, maybe it's just optimism, or like I'm future, projecting because I really like him or whatever. But I have him as a top 50 guy despite some of the struggles right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that he's in Double-A while Josue De Paula and Lazaro Montes are still in high A. So yeah. Just a little bit of context there when you're like comparing those guys, and you're like, oh, look at all the home runs that Laz is hitting. So just something to think about. Number 68 is your guy. You already mentioned him. That's Ryan Waldschmidt with the D-backs. So I don't know if I'm just like relating Waldschmidt in my mind subliminally to Goldschmidt. I'm just like, oh, Diamondbacks and Schmitz, they got this thing. Good plates, like really good plate skills, more walks than Ks. I love that. He had a 448 OBP whenever I wrote my article, which is ridiculous. 5 bombs, 5 steals. And like, this is my thought on him, Welsh, is I'm just like, this guy is basically the outfield righty he's just the righty version of Lars Nootbaar. Like Lars Nootbaar is just like this toolsy StatCast guy, just lighting up all these StatCast pages and really good plate skills. I think Waldschmidt just reminds me kind of Lars Nootbaar, but with the Diamondbacks. So he's gonna have a better stadium, and he's a righty. So maybe because he's gonna have a better stadium, he'll put up better numbers than Lars Nootbaar.
Yeah, I like that comp. Yeah, low K percentage. He's walking more than he's striking out, which like right there, that tells you so much. I also love a big thing, dominate, struggle, pop back. And that's what he's doing. He kind of, he was going ridiculous at the beginning, kind of went through a thing. He's got his average up to 272. It's a great OBP, power speed combo. I kind of like the Lars Nootbaar comp put in there. And I think, contact percentages, it's down over last year in short sample size, but it's still good, right around 80%. They just brought up Slade Caldwell, so I think it'll be interesting. That outfield, by the way, if you're in Hillsboro, is Drew Jones, Slade Caldwell, and Ryan Waldschmidt. I think that's like a wild grouping they're going to put together. But I would also say Waldschmidt's a guy that's probably going to move up here pretty soon. Like, readjust, get these guys out. I do wonder if maybe they start to just say screw it and they pair Slade and Ryan together just throughout the minor leagues and let those guys kind of traverse the systems, and maybe even Drew Jones, they kind of all follow each other. I think that's a possibility, but yeah, I like the comps, and I think Waldschmidt is like a really solid top. Like, what do you have him at? What's the number? 68? Is this
68?
Yeah. So I've got him. Where is he? I got him a little bit higher. I've got him into the high 50s, but yeah, we're in the same like general vicinity.
Yeah, I'm a fan. This is I like him better than Slade, actually. I like Slade a lot, but I think that Waldschmidt has more fantasy upside as far as like, you want some bombs, you want some steals. Slade maybe will be the better real life player just because the hit tool is so good. But I like Waldschmidt better for fantasy personally.
Yeah, that's what James is. I like Slade still more, but people are split on that. I know James really likes Ryan Waldschmidt, and I think both of these guys are really great. It's just going to be if Slade hits for some power, I don't think it's going to be close between these two. But if he ends up being just like a 8 to 10 homer guy, then it's going to mitigate a lot of his power, his fantasy production.
Yep, 67, a starting pitcher. Is this the second pitcher besides Alejandro Rosario? Yeah, starting pitcher Brandon. See, I told you your methods of ranking is rubbing off of me a little bit. Yeah. 67, starting pitcher Brandon Clark with the Red Sox. This dude is a lot of fun. Huge lefty, drafted in the 5th round, and he throws over 100 miles per hour from the left side, tops out over 100, lives around 96, 97, really nasty sweeper, changes speeds too on that pitch. It looks like he'll go from like the mid 80s to the high 80s on that sweeper, even hit like 90, 91 on it. I don't know if that's 2 different pitches. It looks like it has like the same movement. So I don't know if that's 2 different pitches or he just changes speeds on the same pitch, which is what it looks like to me. Also sneaky good changeup, 82 mile per hour changeup. And he has a curve too. So I just think the stuff is ridiculous. And this is a find out of nowhere. Like he came from Florida State College, Florida Manatee, Sarasota. It's like, this just reminds me of Chris Sale. Like Chris Sale was drafted from like Florida Gulf Coast and just came out of nowhere. And it's like, oh, okay. Like just draft out of some random like state college in Florida. Cool. And he's throwing 100 from the left side. That's pretty awesome. I threw a comp of Robbie Ray on there with maybe higher velocity and better command than Robbie Ray. So maybe he has like a higher ceiling than Robbie Ray. I mean, I'm talking about a major leaguer here, but maybe hopefully he doesn't walk as many guys as Ray. But I think that's the kind of upside you can see from Brandon Clark with the Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have him in this range that you have him, but I think that's also the balance between like upside ranking. I mean, and I'm not saying you're necessarily doing that because you're just locked in, but I think like there's different ways you can value the players. And if you're just playing upside and you're like, okay, lefty absurd K numbers, throws 100, it's and can have a sub 2 ERA. If you look at that, you're just like, all right, probably some relief risk in there. I mean, grading scales heavy on the fastball. We're going to have to see how, the command numbers are going to end up looking. He's like around 3.5 walk per 9 right now. Mizorowski gets away with it, but it's taken him a long road. I think there's still a long road for Clark. They've also got a lot of guys. I don't know if I would love it if he was out of the organization, if they decide to make a move, because they're just so heavy on, you got Tolley and Valera. They just got so many guys that are in there that only so many can be starters. And I'm not 100% sold that that's the path that Brandon Clark goes. So I don't have him inside the top 100, but it's big power stuff. And I'd really love to see him at AA. And I know we will. We'll get moved up. At 22-year-old high A, let's see some challenges at AA. Let's see the walk numbers go down. But from a talent, sky's the limit perspective, like I kind of get him sitting in this space. But again, I come back to like, there's just so many interesting good pitchers. How many, and like what level of floor gets them there or ceiling gets them there? I mean, because I'm just looking at guys I have in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and it's just like, are you going to have 70 pitchers inside your top 100? Like, how many can you truly put there? And is a guy like Brandon Clark worth more than Trey Savage? I don't know, based on I don't know what your rank of those guys are, or Nolan McLean, or Yarlin Susana, or Ryan Sloan, or Jonah Tong. And it's like levels of floor and ceilings and how far they've moved in the minor leagues versus a guy like Brandon Clark, who's definitely popping this year with a big fastball, but needs to move up. So that's just a little explanation of like why I don't have him inside the top 100, but I get it.
Yeah, I saw some of those guys you mentioned. I've got them ranked ahead of Tong. I have Yesevich ahead of Clark, but I have him ranked ahead of Tong. I just like the repertoire better. It's just like I watched a lot of film on a lot of these pitchers. It's like, what pitches do I like the best, and who has the pitches that I think are going to be elite pitches at the major league level? And I'm thinking more on like a pitch perspective, like what does their arsenal look like? What do the individual pitches look like? Versus like what are they putting out statistically? Because he's only thrown like right now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see his highest pitch count that he's thrown is 71 pitches here in this latest start. So he's not going very deep as of yet. So I mean, worst case scenario, if they're competing this year, the Red Sox could easily just Grant Taylor him and bump him up all the way up into the bullpen, and maybe they try to merge him in as a starter later down the road in a year or two. Just kind of like what I think the White Sox are going to do with Taylor. So very possible, but like I just really love the stuff. So I'm willing to put a lefty who throws over 100, big lefty who throws over 100 with other good pitches up that high just because of the pitches themselves.
No doubt.
So number 66 is another starting pitcher. This is a dude I don't even really know what to do with right now, Welsh. Kumar Rocker. Like he keeps performing really well in the minors, but it can't relate to the majors. And the thing is,
there's a name for those guys. Tim,
quadruple A,
quad A players. Yeah, there's a name.
I mean, does he need to be a closer at this point? Like, what do you think? Because here, I just pulled him up on YouTube, so you can see actually his pitch level data. His slider in the minors has a 42.9% swing strike rate. So it's like, okay, one super elite pitch. He's got like an 80 grade pitch, and then everything else is just blah. So it's like, is he just a reliever then? Because he can't develop anything to go off of that slider? What do you think, Welsh?
It's how he's always been, though. Like he's a slider guy. That's why he failed so miserably early on, was he couldn't get to his slider because he had a fastball that he couldn't throw for strikes. Then he started to figure it out. I think we might be closer to quad A. Like I have him lower than you do. I put him down. I've got him in that like 90 to 110 range, just because I think we are in a limbo stage. Doesn't look super great as a major league starter. He's good in AAA. There's already been rumors of the bullpen. I kind of think long-term, he's going to just be a fringy starter, and doesn't seem like they're committed to putting him in the bullpen anytime soon, but that might be where you end up going. So I'm pretty indifferent. We do this a lot of the people that rank. I don't know if you and I have ever had this conversation, but like there are guys you want to graduate and go away. I want Kumar Rocker to go away, and he'll go away soon because I'm tired of like just looking at the list, because I don't want to be a disservice and be like, I'm just done with this and put him into the 300s or something like that. Because I still think like his slide is ridiculous. And then you start throwing his fastball for command. That's solid. We need to get that third pitch better and go deeper, but he's had injury problems. There's so much relief risk. I just am not, I agree with you. I don't know really where he belongs at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I want him to go away. But the big question for me is, if he's a reliever, how do you value him as a reliever? Because like, if he's an elite closer, like if he's a top, could he be with that pitch a top 10 or 15 closer? Probably. That has value, and it's like, how do you value that against a starter? Because I don't want to rank relievers with my top prospects. Like, I don't want a reliever in the top 100, but Mason Miller is a guy that I would have still in the top 100 if he was still a prospect. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do you do with that? I don't know. It's kind of tough.
I don't know what you do, because also Emiliano Teodo, is getting more relief work, and he's been like working back out of camps. And I've heard some rumors of maybe even going like back into the AFL and doing some relief like that. That's a guy that could be the future closer of this team. He can pump 100 in relief. When I interviewed Triantos, he talked about how freaking nasty he was. Like, he's nasty. Teodo's nasty. So I don't know. I don't know if it would be Rocker or Teodo. I just think Rocker's in a weird limbo stage, and I think that hurts his fantasy value in general, because like Jack Leiter is at least just rattling off good starts, 5 really good starts. He's majority of the season. He's not special. He doesn't look elite or anything like that, but he's more than serviceable starter right now. Like, he's staying in the rotation. We're not guaranteed that with Rocker. And I think those are the type of concerns you have, whether it was like, two Rangers, Rosario not sticking around or not being around for 2 years and what he looks like when he comes back, or players that are on this fringy relief starter. Like, those are the things I want to start to like move away from. Like, is it really worth holding at that point? And I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, I agree. 65, Henry Bolte with the Athletics. This is a dude I was really like, I don't know how this is going to play at higher levels. And he's actually making it work right now at AA Welsh. Even though his contact rate is still 66.5, it is not to Spencer Jones levels of bad. So I think this is like where I wish Spencer Jones was. If Spencer Jones had a 66.5% contact, okay, cool. This is awesome. Because he'd be probably doing Henry Bolte things with more power. So Bolte's got 20 steals now or something like that. He's got
23
steals, 6 bombs, 866 OPS. So he's basically doing what you would want Spencer Jones to do. He's got a 26.7 K percentage, 14% walk rate. So I'm in on Bolte. I don't know, like he always runs really high BABIPs. So there may be like this Nolan Jones, Matt McLean type problem, or Matt McLean. Yeah, Nolan Jones and Matt McLean type problem, where they just run really high BABIPs some years, and then other years they don't. So they have bad batting average. So he might be like very volatile, I would say, as far as batting average goes as a prospect. Like, once he hits the majors, he's a dude who could hit like 190, or he could hit like 270 just because of the speed. And it's like, where is he going to land each year? So this might be one of those guys that you hate to own, just because like when he's on, you're like, oh, this is great. But then you hate to own him because he's just so inconsistent.
Yeah, and that kind of sounds like Denzel Clark too. With the A's, it's like when he's on. I never loved his swing. He had a really good 2024 before he came to the AFL, 40 plus stolen bases, 15 homers. This year, the K percentage is improved, but it's still not great. He's hitting for average, probably just transforming a little bit more as a hitter. I think the environment is really good for him, but it is low contact percentages. There's streakiness. Like, I have him lower. I have him inside the top 100. I just don't have him in the 60s like you do. I think he's I kind of think he belongs. You mentioned Spencer Jones. I kind of think he belongs near him. Like, he looks more consistent right now than him, but I'm not 100% sold like on the power long term. And also, there's a little bit of a block that's going on. I know the A's are moving through players, but you've got Denzel Clark up, who looks like a phenomenal reliever. Colby Thomas is above him in AAA. Like, what's the path for Henry Bolte to get up to the majors? He's also 21 years old. Like, they might marinate him for another year or so. Like, it might still be some time. And do you want to wait on someone like that if you don't think they have exceptional like counting stat tools? So I'm just a little bit lower.
Yeah, I see that. Definitely a riskier profile. I just think like fantasy, that's the type that plays up, especially in like a Cats league. Number 64, catcher Moises Ballesteros with the Cubs. There's so many weird guys in this range here. Ballesteros, it's like Rocker. These guys, like, he's just so interesting. Such a good hit tool, but he can't play defense. It's like, what are you gonna do if you're the Cubs with Ballesteros? Like, DH, they try, like, he came up for a little bit, but where's his ultimate landing spot? And like, if he's not a full-time catcher, is there even fantasy value here at all, Welsh? If he's just like a part-time catcher, part-time DH, it's like, do you really want to own that? Like, so that's the problem I have for him.
I get that. I think you can. I love his hit tool. I think it's ridiculous. I mean, he's hitting 335 in AAA. I don't care what he did at the majors. He did double his walks over strikeouts. Positionally, it is tough. Body's kind of weird. I think they like him as a catcher enough. I think they like Miguel Amaya more. But I think also that, like, you laid it out. Like, he could be look at Baldwin and Sean Murphy. Like, they're just working that out. I think Ballesteros can be a part-time-ish catcher. He can DH, and then I think also that you can play him some at first. They kind of started experimenting a little bit. If you remember when he came up, Michael Busch was going over to third, but now they feel comfortable back with Matt Shaw. I just don't think there's a clear path this year, but I think there's a clear path in the future. I think Ballesteros, his plate discipline, the way he makes contact, he's a young guy who's got some catching skills. Like, it's more of a long-term investment. It's probably, I think, the best time to go and buy him right now because I think sentiment's kind of low on him, but he's not like the most athletic. He's not like Kyle Teal. Kyle Teal, you can totally see being first, more athletic. Like, Ballesteros doesn't have a body that you super love, but also I think that's why, if he's up, he's going to be playing close to every day, and it's got to be between catcher and DH or, catcher and first base, and that roster is just a little jumbly right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like, can he like escape the Alejandro Kirk, Pablo Sandoval, where they have a couple good years and they like fall off the table with that kind of body, or can he like work on that?
Kirk might be a similar comp. There's a guy that like, make contact and not strike out a ton. Like, that might be a similar path, which isn't great, by the way.
Yeah, I think Ballesteros probably has more power built into the swing, but besides that, pretty similar like contact rates anyway. And you love this 36% sweet spot percentage is really high, so that's why he makes such good contact. Is he just like really knows the zone really well, and he knows his barrel. Like, he puts the barrel in the right spot more often than most guys. 63. This is an interesting name, Christian Moore with the Angels. Like, I kind of want to give Christian Moore a little benefit. A little benefit to the doubt here, just because I feel like he's in the Angels organization, and it's like they're gonna push him maybe a little too hard, and it's like, okay, like, we see really high K rate numbers, like he is a guy who's gonna strike out more, but I feel like are the K numbers really that bad? Like, is that something he can correct? Like, I think he can. It's just like, hopefully the Angels aren't the Angels and like just way too overly aggressive with him, and they actually give him time to develop.
Well, I think they have been doing that. I have him quite a bit higher than you, and this is betting on the tools that are going to click when we move up. Like, we're not too far removed from Christian Moore being thought in the same realm as Christian Campbell, and I don't want to say Roman Anthony necessarily, but like higher than Marcelo Mayer, stuff like that. And he had a little bit of a rough go, but I think long-term, there are so many things to still bank on. He's gotten, his average back up in AAA, 333, after he struggled in AA. K percentages, I guess, are kind of a problem in general, but, he's making contact in the zone. Average EV is okay. It's, 89, but 111 max EV. He's got to start to make more quality hard hit stuff. I don't want him to go the route of like, with Joe Adele, where it's like, oh my God, there's all these just crazy skilled out tools and he can't connect to them. I think Christian Moore can connect to them. We kind of saw, you and I talked about that. I remember when we did that show, but that is polarizing. It is for people, but that video he did on Momentum with Bauer, where I thought the most interesting thing about it was watching Christian Moore and kind of watching his process going up against someone that he had never really seen before. I thought that was just very telling in general. I also think he's just like body is maxed out in like all the best ways. So even though the production hasn't jumped through the roof, I think he's going to get the playing time when he's ready. They are slowing the pace more than they've ever done. How often do you see a top prospect go to AAA for the Angels? You like never see it. AAA for the Angels is destined for quad A players and rehabbers. So, they're really slowing the process down. And I am higher on Christian Moore on this one.
Part of me thinks, are they just trying to like really boost the ego before they bring him up? Like, if I'm the Angels, I'm like, okay, let's get all the hitters some reps in the PSL or the PCL so that they come right up and they're feeling good. They're feeling hot. They come up, quote unquote hot, if you believe in hot and cold players. And then the pitchers, you just skip AAA entirely. Like, why subject your best pitchers to the PCL environment. Like I wouldn't, but throw all the hitters in there and get them hot and make them feel good and then bring them up. Which is what they're doing because he's on a tear. 333 batting average. I mean, he's boosted by a 458 or 458 BABIP, but PCL. So I like PCL, him. I like him. I think maybe he's a bit underrated right now. I kind of agree with you. 63. That's why I put him 63 because I think a lot of people are really down on him, and I'm like, okay, maybe he's not top 40, 50 right now, but like I'm still very interested. Which is like the next guy here is kind of like Carson Williams is 62 for me, and this is right there in that Spencer Jones category where I'm like, okay, this guy's dropping, and like Kumar Rocker, I'm like, these guys are guys that are not performing. I have to drop them, but how much do I drop them? Because Carson Williams, just like Spencer Jones, has a terrible contact rate. So bringing Carson Williams up right now on the YouTube, if you're watching, his contact rate, 61.2. Luckily, the zone contact is not terrible, 75. I mean, it's not good. It's below average still, but could be definitely worse. So he's not totally in Spencer Jones category here. But Carson Williams is definitely not performing to the ability that we saw last year and where we thought he might be. Like before the Rays signed Ha-Seong Kim, I figured, Carson Williams might be their starting shortstop coming into the season. And I don't know. Do you think that like that messes with him? Is that going to like mess with his head? Like, he thought he was going to be the majors, and then they signed another guy to block him. And it's like, well, like, I don't know. Do you think that messes with him? And maybe that's why he's been worse this year than last year?
It's a possibility. I mean, last year he got to go play in, what was it? The Team USA, the 10, I'm forgetting what the hell it was called, but it was like the USA tournament they had where like Rich Hill was there, Tamar Johnson, Chandler Simpson and stuff. And he had been in the AFL the year prior. I just never loved him in the AFL. And it was so weird because like he got touted in the AFL because he was the highest Baseball America prospect there. And that was like the judgment of it, but he wasn't even close to the best player out there. And frankly, talking with him, like I thought he was an interesting kid, but like he even said it, he's a defensive guy. And I thought he didn't care about the strikeouts he had there, but guess what? That strikeout problem for the AFL just keeps being a problem. And he has a 35% strikeout rate in AAA. He's got raw skills. He absolutely can get the ball in the air. He can steal some bases. I think he's a great defender, and that's why he'll have a major league career, but it just might be inconsistent. And I think he is overrated from a fantasy perspective. And, like, you look at him versus, let's go back to Spencer Jones again. And it's like, what are the things that make you feel super good when you stare at Carson Williams? Why do you feel so much better about him than you would like a Spencer Jones? All right, 75% zone contact rate, but a 62% overall contact rate. He's hitting under 200. He has almost as worse of a strikeout rate. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I think they belong in the same general vicinity. So I've got Carson Williams lower, but I've also just never been a really big fan. And all I've gotten was kind of validation for my lack of interest in him a couple years ago when people had him like top 20. I didn't really get it. And I just kind of been validated to it. But he will have a major league career because he is an freaking A+ defender.
Yeah, I mean, those are the edges. That's why I have him ranked ahead of Spencer Jones. It's like, okay, this guy's defense is so good that he's going to make it no matter what, where Jones may not. So, like, that's really, like, the breaking point right there. And he's in AAA versus Jones being in AA. So
that's
you give him a little bit of
thing.
an edge there. And you're like,
yeah,
okay.
Proximity is something you should consider with Carson Williams for sure.
Yep, 61. I'll try to go a little faster here because we still have 10 guys to talk about, and we're already near an hour. So 61 is Josue Briseño. He had a crazy fall league, dude, and he's just continuing mashing now. He only had 7 home runs last year, and he already has more this year. So Josue Briseño, big time mover for me because he already had good contact skills. I think we talked about him before. He only had like 1 homer last year, and we were on Prospect 1 talking about him. And I was like, look, this guy's contact rates are good, so this is a guy to watch out for. And then all of a sudden, he starts mashing homers in Arizona Fall League and doesn't stop since then.
This is vindicated on the positive side because rightfully so. When you get stuff wrong, I really liked a couple years ago Jacob Marcy in the AFL, and I couldn't have been more wrong. But what's funny is because you got to be careful about the AFL in general, about everything that you see. We always do that, Arizona Fall League. But I fell in love with Brasino. He was my number one fall in love with player for seeing him there. But it was like the stank of the Marcy stuff was out there that I had multiple people just being like, this is just going to be another Jacob Marcy. And people were so dismissive. But it's like, listen, I watch Brasino every single day. The way he got pitched in the second half of the AFL was wild. He was being treated like the premier hitter. He won a triple crown in the AFL. He had crazy, pure, raw power. Everything you loved out of like a premier hitter. And it's like, man, if you put him at first base full time, we could get going. Well, that's what he's been doing because Lorenzo is like a premier catcher that they want to keep there. And Brasino as a first baseman will work. And guess what? Strikeout rates under 20, huge walk rates, 13 homers, 264. He is a 20-year-old doing this in high A. All the things you got to love. He's a big bodied guy too, very big, like 6'4", 200+ frame. Like I've loved Brasino. I have had him high. I'm going to see if I can tell you. I have him in the 60s, and I've had him tops based because I'm looking at my ranks here on my Patreon, and I do from my last update and from the start of the season. I've had Brasino as a top 75 guy since the start of the season. So I've been pretty consistent on him, and it's worked out. It's one of those guys that works out. I love the bat.
Yeah, for sure. 60. This is another guy that you already mentioned. This is Trey Yesavage for the Blue Jays. Finally moved up to high A. I was like, why is this guy still pitching an A-ball after like his second start? It doesn't make any sense. He should be in Double A at this point because he's been so ridiculously good. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see his Arsenal data from A-ball, which is really cool. But fastball is up from college. So in college, he was only throwing 93 to 95. This year, he was averaging on the topping out on the fastball. He averaged 94, but he was topping out around 98 on the fastball. Cutter, 27% swinging strike rate. So that's crazy. Change up 30.6% swinging strike rate. Slider, 31. So all his pitches are getting swings and misses. And the fastball, 15.6 swinging strike rate. Really good for a fastball. So everything that he is doing is really good. Different delivery, right? It's like super over the top delivery. I've said in my article, it's Trey Boucher-like delivery. Like he and Jonah Tong have these really over the top deliveries. Like there really aren't any other prospects that kind of have that delivery that I can think of off the top of my head. But I think he belongs in Double A. The numbers are just too good. Like he has a 38.7% CSW, 21.5% swinging strike rate on the season. And he's been in high A for 4 or 5 stars now. So it's like, what's the point? Just bring him up. Get him up to Double A.
He just got called up to like yesterday or today. He's going to New Hampshire, so he is going to Double A. So
nice.
Yeah, there you go. So we're gonna get to see that. Yeah, I agree with that. Two things. I think his splitter is elite with a great fastball. I have something in my head though. Lance Brozdowski did a really interesting video, and he kind of offhandedly talked about this, and I need to hit him up to maybe go through it more, but he kind of offhandedly talked about results of over the top pitchers, and it's been stuck in my head about Yesavage and Tong. Like I can't get over that about success rates of guys that are super over the top, and that's kind of floating out there. But he has just been, regardless of any of those, like ridiculous things, been dominant. It's crazy good splitter. It's a pitch that you want to see more in the majors at success, and that angle might make it even nastier. So I'm all here for Trey, and you got him a little bit higher than me though, but I'm here for you with it.
Oh yeah, number 59 catcher Kyle Teal with the White Sox just got the call up to the majors, and we talked a lot about it in like preseason, and we talked about it last year. How are the White Sox going to handle the Caro Teal situation? So he just got called up. So we haven't really had even a full week to see how they're going to, mix and match these guys. But what do you think going forward with Teal? Because he showed increased power this year in the minors, 8 home runs. Last year, he only had 13 the whole year. So also, more doubles, 10 doubles so far. So we've had increased power from Teal this year. Hit tools really playing up. It's just, what are the White Sox going to do? Is he going to get enough playing time to be fantasy viable in one catcher leagues, Welsh?
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting question. I think they're going to give him enough playing time. I don't think they would have brought him up otherwise. I think they've talked about the experiment with first base. I don't think they've done it yet. I think he's only been a catcher or DH in his short amount of games that are out there. Caro, I think they really like as a catcher, but I think at the end of the day, I think it would benefit them to have like Caro as your catcher and Teal playing some first base, and Teal could be the other first baseman. But I think they also don't want to be detrimental if they think Teal is like, the future stud of that backstop, and he's going to be the guy controlling those pitchers. But having both those young guys up, I think his hit tool is phenomenal. And he's shown that off in the minors, 8 homers, he's stealing bases, hitting for average, makes a lot of he's got that doubles power that can definitely project into 20 plus homers at the majors. And I think playing time will get there. It's hard to speak of for this year. There's no reason he's not going to get playing time this year unless they were manipulating, but then why bring him up? So in a 12-team league, that's kind of tough this year because you got a guy like Drake Baldwin that's rookie of the year candidate that's pushing that envelope, and you're wanting regular playing time. I think he'll be in that vicinity. I think you could justify top 15. You want to hold on to him. They're gonna find some spots. I would just love to see him maybe playing first base and then really feel good about it. But I love his hit tool. One of the better hit tool catchers to bank on.
Yeah, oddly, I'm in a league where somebody dropped Kyle. They already had him, and then he got called up, so they had to create a roster spot, and they dropped him instead of Drake Baldwin. So, and they're in like a similar timeshare situation, which I think makes sense to me. Drake Baldwin's been in the majors doing it longer, but it's just so weird to have that kind of call, like, oh, Kyle Taylor, Drake Baldwin, because they're both in very similar situations, different leagues. 58 outfielder Dylan Beavers with the Orioles. I'm a big Beavers guy. His F score is Welsh. It looks exactly like PCA when PCA was where he was before he came up to the Cubs. Like I suppose a year and a half ago or something at this point. F score is just 102 contact, 108 discipline, 91 power, 173 speed. That's like exactly the same thing that I saw from PCA. So that's the tag that I threw on him for comp, is he might be like the Orioles version of PCA. The difference is the Orioles barely have room for Kobe Mayo. So are they going to be able to make room for Beavers? I guess the thing is, I think Mullins may be a free agent soon. So maybe Beavers can just fill into the Mullins spot sometime next year. But I just pulled his numbers up. If you're looking on YouTube, the contact rate this year is insane. He did not have this kind of contact last year. But he's got an 82.6% contact rate, 90.2% zone contact rate, 46% sweet spot percentage, ridiculous. And he's not hitting the ball in the ground. He's hitting the ball in the air. So I think we could expect more power. He only has 5 home runs this year. Last year, he had 15. He is racking up the stolen bases. So I really like Dylan Beavers, especially, fantasy. So right now he's showing really good hit tool. 90 zone contact. You probably call that plus hit tool. He's showing plus plate skills, and he's got okay power, good enough power, 110 max EV. You'll live with 106 90th EV. You'll live with that. And then speed. So I'm all aboard this for fantasy purposes, and he has no split issues. You look at his splits. There's 0 split issues here for Dylan Beavers. What do you think about Beavers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as aggressive. I like a lot of the story you're telling. Fangraph's got a little bit lower, zone contact is 89%. Again, that's not that big of a deal, but if you're maybe going from plus to plus, so it's just a tiny bit lower. But the main point to it, all that matters is super high zone contact, really good contact rates. It doesn't pull the ball up a whole bunch, but has shown an increase year over year from AAA on the data that we give, that max EV is bigger. He's hitting the ball way harder. Hard hit percentages is okay. I think from a major league standpoint, it's interesting because I don't view him, if you take the PCA comp, I would find it hard to believe that he becomes this version of PCA, but maybe some of those versions of PCA, he's not putting up elite hard hit numbers in the minor leagues. I think he could be more of a doubles hitter. He can steal some bases, which is phenomenal. He's having high batting averages with a lowered K percentage. I think that's really, really serviceable. And I think he probably does belong in the discussion of a top 100. I'm not this high on him, but I think this is a good pull. You also do have to wonder, we've definitely seen this really great AAA Orioles numbers that have not translated to the majors for a lot of these guys. So let's see how that translation works and when the hell are we going to get him, because all the guys, but they should be selling off pieces. I mean, you could probably just get rid of Tyler O'Neill. Mullins is a free agent, just kind of unload some of that, because you've got all these young stars that you need to start building around, or you need to be moving them for other stars, which they clearly don't seem to be willing to do. So I think we see Dylan Beavers here in the pretty near future.
Yeah, I guess the thing you have to ask is Beavers going to come up before Bradfield Jr.? I'd say probably. even though Bradfield has the elite defense.
That's a tough one. I think that defensively, like that, I don't know if you want that off if you ever put Kershot out there. You've got Kauser. Like, that's a really tough one. I kind of lean on Bradfield, to be honest with you on that, but those are two different skill sets, those guys.
Yeah, for sure. It's just, if you need a fourth outfielder, I guess Bradfield makes more sense. If you just want a guy who's going to run the bases and catch the ball in the 8th and 9th innings, then that makes sense. But, it depends. Like you said, are they going to start selling some of the assets? So that'd be cool if they do. Hopefully they do, because they have too many good prospects just like wasting away in the minors. 57, predictive Welsh here with little hints all over the episode of who's going to be, we're going to see later in the ranking. It's outfielder Colby Thomas with the Athletics, who we talked about all the time on the P10s last year, because it's just like every week he's just lighting it up as far as extra base hits and home runs. And like at the beginning of the season here, he actually got off to kind of like a rough start at the very beginning of the season. But then he just got right back to what he was doing like a couple weeks in. So I think he's either leading or he's second in the minors in extra base hits this season, Colby Thomas. Obviously, he's still striking out a bunch. I think, did he have a cycle the other day, or he almost had a cycle? Like he just,
I don't
33 extra base hits already for Colby Thomas.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous after having 85 last year. So Colby or 80 last year, just doing crazy stuff. Like I comped him to Taylor Ward, Adolis Garcia, which like it makes sense because he's just like, okay, especially like the Adolis. It's like, okay, maybe not the best plate skills, but the dude does a ton of damage when he is making contact with the ball. So like if you get a 240, 250 batting average with a bunch of bombs and doubles and steals and stuff, and most leagues that'll play all day. It's just like, when is he going to come up? Because the Athletics right now, Nick Kurtz just came back yesterday. So it's like, okay, so now Soderstrom's back in the outfield. So it's like, okay, and you've already got Rooker at DH. You got Clark up now. Like, where's Colby Thomas going to fit in this team? That's like the biggest concern. Like, if he can play second base or something, awesome. Or the third base, because those are, I think, the open spots. Like, awesome. But like, where does he play? When does he get up?
I don't know. That's a great question, because I want to see him up there. I think this is like a really good power bet for the future. You also look at like, max average EV is okay. It's like 89, but he put up a 115 already. So it's like you're talking about raw power here. Also, good launch angle, gets the ball in the air. Give me that with decent pull rates in that little baby ballpark they have. I love the potential for Colby Thomas to be a 20+ home run hitter if he's there. We just got to get him there. I think he's probably going to end up being like a 250, 260 hitter, but I think there's 25+ home run power in there. There's a handful of stolen bases, and I think his plate discipline could be a little bit better than we expect, with some pretty good like zone contact rates. So I like Colby Thomas a lot. I'm kind of in this range with you on the rank.
Yeah, I mean, like if there was room for him, I'd probably have him top 50 even just because of proximity, because it's like, okay, this guy's going to help your fantasy team this year. But it's like, okay, it's just too much of a crowd. What are you going to do, Athletics? I mean, life finds a way. Someone will probably get hurt. 56, another Athletic. This is a pitcher. It's Gage Jump, who made – you already used a jump pun. I'm just going to jump right on that one. Because he
what
jumped.
A name, too. A+ baseball name.
A+. He jumped so high in my rankings. He went from nothing to top 60 first time out. So drafted out of LSU, short left-handed pitcher who throws high 90s, like 97 to 100 miles per hour on the fastball. 6 slider. He's right on the range. Always talks about you want an 85 mile per hour slider. His slider is at 85 miles an hour. He's got a knee breaking 81 mile per hour curve. This guy, just really good stuff from a lefty. Kind of reminds me of Carlos Rodon. So, and the Athletics need pitching. Unlike the outfielder, unlike Colby Thomas, where there's like no room for him, the Athletics have all of the room in that rotation. So I don't think we see him this year. That'd be that would be really crazy to see. I mean, like, I guess teams have done it. The Angels have done it, like draft a pitcher and then throw him right in the rotation the same year. But like, it'd be pretty crazy to see him jump all the way up to the majors. But maybe they do if they're competing.
Yeah, and Reds did it with Louder essentially. I'm not so sure. I mean, if they're in heavy competition, that ballpark I think has got to scare them a little bit of pushing guys a little too far before they're ready, because he was in high A. How often do we see pitchers in the same year go from high A to double A to triple A to the majors? It's probably relatively minimal. So I don't know if we do, but yeah, I think a lot of this is justified. I think maybe the biggest thing that stands out is like the significance of the jump seems a little bit big, but mid 90s fastball, really great graded curve slider. The control numbers are better than expected. He's absolutely dominated the minors right now. And I think, people aren't making any good contact, but that's why, like, let's keep getting challenged. I think he's a top 100 pitcher evaluation for sure. AAA has been really good, or I'm sorry, AA has been really good, where he's got a sub-1 ERA. He's already had 5 starts. I think you get 1 or 2 more and get him up to AAA. Let's do the Chase Burns. Like, how many starts do you need to have confirmation? Okay, low A, not a ton. AA, you got it. Get to AAA. Gauge jump. I would say when the futures game is done, he should be in AAA, and that does give him the potential to come up to the majors. I'm just not sure if you want to see it. I think there's a good question about, is this the best time to buy or sell Gauge Jump? But I'm not 100% sure. There could be a tremendous, you think about the A's and their valuation, and they're going to be in that ballpark for a couple of years. Is this like all-time peak, or have we not gotten there enough yet where that's why you would win be a buyer? I don't know what the answer is to that. I guess I lean a little bit maybe sell if we're talking about him as close as the top 50 overall prospect, but he is tremendously interesting.
Yeah, it just depends on how risky, I guess, you want to be. But yeah. That's a very, very good question. That'd be a good poll to put out. Maybe I'll put a poll
exactly
for buy or sell Gauge Jump's value right now, because I agree. That's one that's like probably split right down the middle on what someone's going to do. 55. This guy just got hurt. Bryce Rayner. He's out for the season now, which sucks because like Connor Griffin has been getting all the hype, and Bryce Rayner has been like very, very good behind the scenes. Like nobody's really noticed how good he's been. 92 average exit velocity, 108, almost 90th percentile, 111.6 max. And that's as a 19-year-old who was just drafted out of high school. So Connor Griffin deserves all the hype that he's been getting, but Bryce Rayner has still been really, really good right behind him until this injury. So, does that really affect my ranking of him? Maybe, because I did this ranking before the injury, so maybe I would knock him down 5 or 10 spots or something like that. But he's a hitter. He'll probably bounce back pretty quick. It's not like a pitching injury where you have to worry too much. So what do you think about Rayner? Where did you have him ranked pre-injury? And what are you doing with him now that he's likely not, or he definitely is not going to play again this year?
Yeah, I didn't let me see if I can find him here. So I didn't move him a ton. I had him top 50 pre-injury. I thought he's one of the best buys out there because, to your point, or I don't even know if you just said it or you had it in this note that all the talk was Connor Griffin, Connor Griffin was the play, but Rayner was quietly hitting almost 290 in Aceball as a teenager, 5 homers, 9 stolen bases, big hard hit numbers. There was some data that was out there average and max EVs. He was hitting balls really, really hard. Great big prototypical body. The comps through the roof, not just because of the size, but also the swing was like Corey Seager. And then unfortunately he pulled a Corey Seager and then, he's out for the entire season. So I think he's still a top 50 guy. I'm not dinging him too crazy much. And I think I want to buy him because I think, when they're not being heard from, you get this inherent value that's thrown into a player because everyone's like, oh, he's just not doing anything. And all these other guys are exciting and da-da-da. And all of a sudden Bryce Rayner is maybe a fringy top 100 prospect to people because he's injured. I go buy him right now because I loved what I saw early on. And I think he can close the gap. Not saying he will, but I think he can close that gap on a healthy season with Connor Griffin. Unfortunately, Connor's going to just have so much more production. He's already up at, high A. You'll probably see him push double A, and then we'll probably see him in the AFL this year. And we won't get any of that from Rayner. So Connor's just going to have a step ahead, but Rayner's definitely a guy I'm buying on.
This is your Braden Montgomery buy window that we talked about last year after the draft, basically.
Yeah.
One more note on Bryce Rayner real quick, because he is a lefty hitter. That's usually a concern platoons, but he actually hits lefties better than righties. 318, 462, 500 slash against lefties pre-injury. So lefty hitter mashing lefties. I love to see that. 54 catcher Dalton Rushing. This is a guy that has been a prospect forever. So we already talked about the guys that you just want to get off the rankings. Let's get Dalton Rushing off of the rankings here. No offense to Mr. Dalton Rushing. Because he's been very, very good, but he's just been around forever. I have a tough time with Rushing. A lot of people are really, really high on him, top 10, top 20 hitter. For me, it's just when is Dodgers prospects. Sometimes I'm how much playing time is he really going to get? Because he's basically going to be a backup catcher and slash DH some. since they kind of are not going to play him in the outfield, which I thought that might be the way to get, more playing time for him, is if he's like outfield / catcher, kind of like, I guess, like Varsho did that for maybe a year for the Diamondbacks before he moved to full-time outfield. So I was hoping something like that for rushing would happen, but it doesn't look like they want to do that. It sounds like they want to keep him as a primary catcher rather than moving him around. So what do you think about, like, how do you value a guy like that?
I kind of want him off my list. Like you said, like he's just in this fringy spot. I think he's got tremendous power. I do like the hit tool. His short minor league stint, he's got a 50% strikeout rate though. Like there's an adjustment period that's going to go on. I think he can be a top 12 catcher in fantasy. I don't think it's going to be this year because I think you're moving around, inconsistency of playing time, where you're playing. I think that can affect the guy a little bit. But like overall, I'm kind of in between you. If you're saying there are people out there that are like top 15 or 20, no, but I don't also have him in the 50s. I've got him higher. So I'm kind of in the middle. I've got him at like, I think I'm at 40 exactly. So I'm in that little space where I'm kind of in between those. I would probably say that he's a decent buy right now because like the prospect fatigue of all the guys up, this is awesome. And he's not doing well. So now people are sick of him and then you can go and get the discount. This is like, I think how you do it. You go and buy, unfortunately you can't do this with all prospects, but now that he's down a little bit in production, I think people are going to feel jaded. No, he's not going to be as valuable. I think it's a decent buy opportunity.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, like he'll hit the ball more than he is right now. 212 batting average, that ain't him. He is at least hitting the ball hard so far in the majors, though. 112 max EV, 90th average EV. So we're going to move now to number 53. This is a Welsh guy. This is shortstop Cooper Pratt with the Brewers. Total Welsh guy. Dude, we're seeing some power. I mean, like it's not a ton, but we are seeing power upticks from Cooper Pratt this year. And he is in Double-A as a 20-year-old. So this is like what we talked about with Lombard, is just age to level. You've got to give the guy a big bump here. And you have to assume with that type of body that Pratt has, that he's going to grow into it and the power is going to come. And you just have to trust, okay, I just want to see hit tool from him right now. I want to see him survive because he's 6'3", 206 pounds. Like, how is he not going to run into power with that kind of frame? Like it's an automatic. It's like when you're that big as a middle infielder, you've got to get into like 20 homer power. Come on, man. So, but he's got 4 bombs, 12 steals on the season. The hit, like he's only hitting 231, but he has a 259 BABIP. So I feel like he's just had maybe a little bit of bad luck, BABIP luck. So I'm not going to be down on Cooper Pratt for some bad BABIP luck because he's just still a really good hitter and he's got a 77.4% contact rate. So, 77.4% contact rate is pretty solid. That doesn't really portend to 230 batting averages.
Yeah, you hadn't said it. I was going to say it. Last year, he ran a 333 across all minor league systems, a 333 BABIP, and he's got a 256 BABIP right now in Double-A. So there's some luck that's not on his side. What is only a 15%? Just think about this. He's a 20-year-old in Double-A who's not repeating levels, and he's a 15% strikeout rate, regardless of not having some of those, big production numbers. I love it. Low strikeouts, 4 homers, 12 stolen bases. He worked out entire spring training. I went to the Brewers quite a few times. He was always working with the majors. It's something that Jackson Chourio had done before he became the big guy. Like all camp, he was never hanging out with a bunch of minor leaguers. They had him in the major league camp, and they worked him aggressively, always with those guys. That's what Pratt did. He's definitely getting the big movement as a 20-year-old, but this is another guy I think you could definitely see in the AFL, and then he gets pressed with potential playing time next year. He does need to find some consistency because when he went from A to high A in 2024, he struggled. They didn't have him repeat, by the way. Just think about that. He had 221 in high A, and then they didn't have him repeat the next year. They pushed him to Double-A where he is having some struggles. So you're going to want to see him overcome that before you get too excited, but I have him as inside the top 50 prospect because I think there's still a lot to be really excited about with Cooper Pratt. And I don't think the minors are telling his entire story yet.
Yeah, I agree. So 52 is another one of these weird names where it's like, I just didn't know how much to drop him. It's like I had to drop him, but how much? It's starting pitcher Noah Schultz with the White Sox, who is just not having a good year. Welsh, for what, like, this is a guy who's always had good command. And then now his walk rate has doubled this year. I just don't know. Do you think he's hurt? Do you think there's like something like mechanically off with him that he just hasn't figured out? Because he was at Double-A last year, same level he's at right now, and was performing much better. Like he had a 6.9% walk rate last year at AA in 61 innings. This year in 51 innings, 13.6% walk rate. And the K rate is way down. K rate is down from 32% to 22.4. So I'm just like worried that something is off. Like, hopefully it's not an injury. Like, he keeps pitching. Like, he's actually adding to the pitch count. He's pitching now more than ever. Like, last time out, actually, he threw 93 pitches for Noah Schultz. Like, he never has gone that deep. So do you think this is maybe he's just like going deeper than before? I would love to see like pitch level, like inning per inning level data on like where are these walks coming from? Are they all at the end of his starts, like when he starts getting tired, or does he think like, oh, I have to go longer into the game, and he's just trying to game it more instead of throwing his A+ stuff from the get-go? Like, I just really don't know like what the issue is here, but there definitely is one, and so I dropped him down to 52.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I would love to hear Bannister talk a little bit about this too. They've been talking about Grant Taylor and Hagen Smith. Like, I'd love a breakdown more, because I actually really trust what the White Sox are doing in their system, but they also have a horrid track record of injuries right now of guys that are getting hurt. Schultz has an injury history. So it's like one of two things. It's there's an injury, or the stuff is not playing at the higher level. So what needs to get fixed? Because that walk rate's insane. It's 5.47 per 9. His K- walk percentage was 25% last year. It's 8% this year. That's crazy. So that's either such an anomaly that it's not believable, or there's something dramatically wrong that we just don't know about. Fastball doesn't play up as much. Maybe he's, that's the problem. He's getting hit on the fastball. You get to the secondaries, no one's swinging at them. Like, some of the minor leaguers go through that. I'm not ready to give up on him, but we're pretty far removed from, hey, Hagen or Noah Schultz might be the number one pitching prospect in baseball. He's Randy Johnson. He's blah, 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 to no, we might have a much bigger problem on our hand. Also, like, big 6'10". He has like a lower, I've never liked his delivery. It just like comes down a little bit. I feel like you're going to have back problems as a big 6'10" guy, but I would love to get some better answers for it. So I think it becomes kind of surface level, and he's got to be dropped. I think Hagen Smith is more valuable than him now. And I think the level of where you drop him definitely is like the biggest question. I'm not ready to deteriorate it, but I would love to get some answers on it.
So if you're ranking Gage Jump or Noah Schultz, who are you picking right now between those two guys?
Man, I mean, I'll say I have Schultz over him, but it's a great question. And that there's a very proximity or recency type of thing. It's like, Gage Jump is absolutely going ballistic in this short span of this season, while Noah Schultz is statistically kind of falling apart this season after being like a much better walk strikeout guy. Like I said, 25 K- walk percentage. That's phenomenal. Like, you're happy if you get guys with 25 K percentage. And then you're talking about a guy when you take out the walks there. I'm not sure I'm ready to be like, oh, Noah Schultz is cooked, but the injury might take it off. So I'm gonna lean to Noah Schultz, but I totally understand having Gage Jump above him.
Yeah. Number 51, last guy we're going to talk about is, I don't know if he's going to be second shortstop, but Colt Emerson with the Mariners. I dropped him from 26 in my rankings because I felt like by this point, I just felt like we should be seeing more tools. Like, I feel like we should be seeing more power, more stolen bases. And even Welsh, like, one of the things we talked about with him last year and when he was in Fall League is like, oh, he's hitting a bunch of doubles in Fall League. That means that's probably going to turn into home run power at some point. Yeah. He only has 5 doubles this year. Like what? Like, what is going on here with Colt Emerson? Because to me, it's just like, I feel like I've just been waiting. And like, I don't want to say I've got prospect fatigue on a 19-year-old, but it's like, we've got to see at least like the doubles. Like, we're not even seeing doubles right now. Like, we've got to at least see like some extra base hit power with him, and we're just not seeing it yet. Like, he's got a great hit tool, but like, we need more than just a good hit tool from this guy, I think, to rank him higher.
I'm with you, and I hate being with you on this one, not just because I'm with you, but because like I want to be a Colt Emerson guy. I want to really like him, and he was a doubles master out there, but he's just like, he's not pulling. He's still at high A. He was high A last year. He's not pulling the ball. I don't think the hard hit numbers look great. His swing got definitely kind of across his body, which was why he makes a bunch of contact and stuff. But did we move from him being maybe like a Zach Neto type player, which felt like he could be in that general vicinity, to now he's, we're going back to maybe he's like a Perdomo type of player. You know, and what I say that is like, maybe he's going to end up just hitting like for a lot of contact, and he actually doesn't put up big hard hit numbers, and barrel rates are lower and stuff. And I don't know really what it is. We do have to remember he is 19 years old. I want to throw that out there. Like, it feels like Colt Emerson has been around for a long time. That's one of those where, like, if you told me he was 22 and I wasn't thinking, I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right. He's not even 20 years old. So I think there's still a ton of time for improvement. But to your point, like, it seems like he's running at less of a clip. He's striking out a bit more. Power seems to be diminished. Like, I don't know what that is. So you're waiting for the shoe to drop, and it's either going to drop in the wrong direction, or it's going to go like, oh, here we go. Now he's, pulling the ball and hitting a bunch more homers. We just haven't had that click yet. So now I think bigger questions are starting to come in, but definitely remind yourself that, like, he is 19 years old. He's only been around for 3 years, even though it feels like he's been around for 5 years in the minor league, and he's like Rule 5 eligible. Which
part
is
of me just wants
it feels like
it. Yeah, it does. Part of me just wants to hate on like Mariners hitting coaching, because like this is the first thing I notice when I look at it. I'm like, okay, 2023, he had a 27% line drive rate, 42% ground ball rate. Last year, 2024, ground ball rate ticks up to 50, almost 51%, but he still at least had a 24% line drive rate. Now this year, 58% ground ball rate and only a 15% line drive rate. So it's just like, it's like a launch angle problem is what it is. It's like, this is what is happening with Jordan Walker, right? Like, that's why Jordan Walker has never been good as a major leaguer, because he's hitting the ball on the ground too much. He's got a big frame. He hits the ball hard. Like, he's got decent contact, but like, let's get the ball off the ground here. He needs, I don't know if he needs like a coach to like help him on the launch angle aspect of his game. And if he does, is that going to mess up with his contact? Is that going to like mess up his whole contact part of his game? So it's like, you can only do so much before you tinker too much, but it's like, he definitely needs to adjust something to get back to what he was doing in 2023. Because if you saw 27% line drive rate, 42% ground ball rate in 2023 when he first came up and first came on the scene, okay, that's great. Like, let's keep doing that, right? So let's not regress in that category. But I think that's just like, what he needs to do. So that's 25 prospects, Welsh. You have any further comments on any of these guys or anyone else you want to talk about real quick while you're on the podcast before we close it out?
No, I mean, it's a good list of players. Ranks are always funny because it's like, we both not talked about players that I have inside my top 50. We talked about a ton of players that I have inside my top 50. Player ranges and valuations in fantasy. It's open for perspective, and the battle between what are you doing for me now versus who can this guy be is the ultimate thing that we deal with when evaluating prospects, especially for fantasy. And it's a fun game. I always enjoy getting to have these conversations, because then, sometimes I'm not thinking about a guy. There's plenty of times, just 500, if I'm ranking 500 prospects on my Patreon, some guys, there's only a certain amount of players that get space in my brain in certain amounts of time. So it is fun kind of going through and having like much more detailed conversations around these guys in this way. So enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, definitely. So that is Chris Welsh. You can find him on Twitter at @IsItTheWelsh. He's also Fantasy Pros in this league, Prospect One, a million different things. And what's your Instagram? I know you're trying to pump the Instagram right now. What's your Instagram, Welsh?
Oh, same thing. Twitter, is it the Welsh? Yeah, just doing stuff on there. Nothing crazy. I will say I am just putting like more. It's kind of like into just videos of dudes, and then like, whenever I meet my new best friends of prospects, me and Jackson Merrill, I'll put pictures up that I always think are fun. But I'm putting just a lot more ancillary videos of prospects like I've got one of Cale Fountain that I'm just going to post up, that I'm just not going to like flood my Twitter timeline with. So Twitter, I'll put more like bigger things that happen, bigger prospects and stuff. But if you want to see some of the other things, Instagram at Is It The Welsh. I'm just starting to post more of those. I got to get that Cale Fountain one up from last night. And yeah, that's it.
Right on. Thanks for coming on, brother. We'll see you next time. Peace out,
Thanks,
everybody.
Brother.